And camera's frame.
I'd like to go over the look that I was able to create for my most recent commercial for Xact Nutrition. The first thing that I'd like to go over was the lensing and the lens choices. This created a very unique look, so we went with my kit of SLR Magic APO micro primes. These lenses really give me a happy medium, and that's why I decided to purchase my own set of these. These lenses to me create a very nice in-between where they don't have too much of a look that they're only usable for certain projects, and that they're clean enough to be able to use with commercial work. So they have just enough of a look and just enough character to give you that look that you're going for. So this was the base coat, if you will, of the look. And then I was really looking into, you know, since this was a spec commercial, how can we differentiate this, give it a bit of a different look? So we decided to go with an anamorphic adapter. So this Sue-Ray 1.25x anamorphic adapter came in really clutch with the look and the ability to go on top of my lensing choices. So it takes a taking lens and turns that into an anamorphic lens. So with this combination of the SLR Magics, the C700, and then this adapter that stretched the sensor from 17.9 to a perfect 239:1. So this gave us right out of the gate a perfect cinema scope, and I found that this combination of lensing didn't give us too much of that anamorphic look, but it gave us just enough to elevate the picture to where I wanted it to be. So I'd like to take a sec and talk about the camera body that we used for this commercial. It was mainly on the C700 and the C70. So the C700 is my camera of choice. This is a larger body. This is a very heavy camera, very heavy setup. It needs a lot of rigging and a lot of support. But the main thing that I love about this camera is the look that it gives. Granted, it is slightly older, but the specs really do hold up today, shooting codecs like ProRes and XFAVC at high bit rate. It also has a very nice, very pleasing skin tones, as all Canon cinema cameras do. And I have to say, working with this camera with the inputs and outputs has been just a dream. Being able to power this camera through V-mount and power all my accessories has allowed me to work really efficiently with larger crews, and any inputs and outputs that the rest of the crew might need to use are already built in without very much extensive rigging, and it's able to support those larger crews, and that's why I tend to lean towards this camera as part of my kit. The second camera that we used on this shoot was the C70. We needed a lighter camera to be able to go on a gimbal system, which was mounted on a car with speed rail and with a shock absorption system as well for those running sequences. This was a very important choice, as the RS3, which was our gimbal of choice, did not support the payload of the C700, so we needed to move to a smaller body. This body allowed us to get a very similar look, as it is within the same cinema line, and it matched very well in post. It gave us the same exact look that we were going for, and being able to put these lighter camera bodies in places where my larger camera setup will not be able to be supported without a massive crew is key. To be able to have a smaller and more maneuverable camera really lent itself to being able to move efficiently. And something that's adaptable, like the C70 coming from RF mount, we were easily able to adapt to EF mount, which is what my lensing choice was based on. Now let's talk about the camera car for a minute. The camera car was a very important choice to this commercial, as we needed these smooth and stabilized shots that were used throughout the entirety of the commercial. This was a very important factor to me, so we ended up going with a camera car solution This was a very impressive and a very fun setup to do. We had our first AC in the back seat on the left. I was operating the gimbal on the right. We had the director up front with the wireless feed, and then we also had our car rigger and driver up front. And this was able to give us a full crew car that was able to operate this crazy rig and be able to get these amazing shots that we did. It was very important to me for these shots to be stabilized because we were covering the monotony of running, and this was the only way for me to be able to capture this the way we did. There's other solutions such as shooting from trunks or handheld, but to me this brought the production value that we needed for this commercial to look the way that it did. Now this is very important in cinematography, is being able to plan your day to be able to get the best light for each shot. So we know we wanted to have the levels relatively low for the morning sequences. So we got there early in the morning and were able to set up and have those levels relatively low. There was no direct sunlight that we had to compete with. Now, as the sun moved, we were able to take our lunch over the time that the sun was at its worst position, which was overhead, and start setting up the camera car for those shots later during the day, where we would be seeing the sun in a very low position and a lot lower. This would allow us to be able to create the dynamics and what we were looking for, which was really just a lot of backlit shots with the sun behind our main talent, allowing for some nice flaring through the lensing, and also some very dynamic shots with the sun pouring in through trees, and also the sun, because it is snowy, the sun acts like a massive bounce card, so we were able to give it enough level on our actor while exposing for the sunlight. So we wanted to follow him running through multiple different locations. So we had some where we had some open fields, we had some where he was running along what looked like a snowy road, and we had some which looked more trail oriented, and we had some that were very enclosed with trees. So the main idea behind this was to show the variety of locations that one would run through, and also the main idea behind the locations with the trees was be able to show a sense of speed, because without objects that you're able to see in the foreground and background, you're not able to really tell how fast something's going. So to have those trees whooshing by as we were following the runner kind of gave it more of a sense of speed and a little bit more of an intensity. For the main sequence that we wanted to show off our product, we had our actor use it as anyone would during a run. We had him take it out of his pocket, track from the pocket all the way up to his face. And this proved to be quite challenging as we were on a tighter lens, so this posed any camera movement was exemplified. So we had to do this multiple takes, but that proves that as we stepped up in lensing, there was more challenges to get these shots. But the final result, I think, speaks for itself. We were able to get a lot of shots and a lot of coverage, which was having a body that was light and lensing that was the same weight was really key as well, so that when you put it on the gimbal, there was no rebalancing needed, none of that. We would just lens swap and we're ready to go, drive back to the original location, get our wides, get our close-ups and our mediums. So this was really key, was having a lighter camera body that was easily rigged on these camera cars, and also the fact that the lensing and rebalancing did not have to be done per shot, so we were able to really fly through our coverage.
Clarity. Through frozen breath and numb fingers that makes 5 miles feel like 50. Morning runs become meditation. Until the pacing finds its rhythm and something shifts. The wall becomes a door. The impossible becomes inevitable. Because out here, on empty roads and crowded start lines, we're all chasing the same thing: clarity.